So, speaking of a little bit brighter news, earlier in the day before all this news came out about driving issues in Athens, Josh Pate did an interview with Kirby. It was about 45 minutes long, and it was really, really good. If you are a fan of college football, I totally recommend that you go out and find this interview because Kirby really addressed a lot more of the state of college football. Not so much about Georgia in particular. That they touched on a few things. Georgia, obviously, the SEC championship, coaching, but this was really just an overall state of college football type interview. Kirby talked a lot about how things have changed, in his years of coaching. Bro, you had a chance to listen to it. What were some things that stood out to you?
I loved when he was breaking down how he had to learn to watch film. And he was going on about we had to actually hand draw the plays watching each film that we got. And nowadays it's out there. You just buy it and it's there. I thought that was a really good story. And I, I think it just shows like how deep, the depth of knowledge that these college coaches actually have when it comes to the X's and O's of everything. That I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, he said that was right after he got hired by Jim Donnan, and his first job was breaking down all of Purdue's film from the entire year because they were getting ready to play Purdue in the bowl game. So he had to watch film of their entire season and write down every single play, which hash it was on, where the ball went, who blocked who. And for a young coach, I mean, my God, that's a wealth of experience just having to go to that detail and learn that. And I think that's something that coaches nowadays miss because, like he said, they don't even do that information within their own program now. They pay that somebody to do that, to have that all that information charted and everything. So that's definitely a change. And it's interesting because Kirby's staff, which that was another topic that he covered on, was that he didn't have any staff changes this year. Um, he said that he would much rather have continuity. If you have a chance to keep a coach from year to year, he would always take that opportunity first. And Kirby's staff is kind of filled with a couple of old school guys, a couple of guys who have been around for a while, Bobo, Stacey Searles, but he's got some new guys in there too. So different minds, obviously. He's brought new guys in throughout the years. Lanning came in for a while, Fran Brown, and obviously Glenn Schumann is one of those guys. So it's a good blend, and stability is very important. And I think it is because this day and age, you're building relationships with recruits and things like that. It's not necessarily always who's the hot coach. And I know lots of people wanted Georgia to change coaches this offseason, but was keeping the coach intact? Was keeping that staff intact a good thing? I
I
think it
think it,
was.
I do too. I do too. Think about it. In the past, one of the biggest negative recruiting things that people do is say, "Oh, is your coach going to be there after next year?" That was always a thing. But now, at least at Georgia, we've been fortunate that they've been able to have that stability, and that helps with recruiting because these guys are building relationships with these players at an early age.
Right.
Some even when they're in middle school, which is
Right.
wild.
I think that the change is that now, where it used to be, is your coach going to be here next year? Now the question is more, is your teammates going to be here next year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that was something else that Kirby talked about. He talked about the changing in the roster. He said that as a head coach, before you used to bring in a signing class, 25 players maximum, maybe one or two transfers that are sitting out for a year. Now he said he will expect to have 35 to 40 new players in the organization every year. And the biggest impact there is it's just not as much depth. There's not as much depth, and you're going to have more younger players on your roster.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the glaring difference, one more thing. So the glaring difference, he said, was looking at his roster going into the 2021 season that ended up winning the national championship first now. He said even back then, 2021, he said it was mostly upperclassmen, seniors. There was lots of that. It's so different now, just in a
yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah, he was saying that it basically takes 2 years to really get a player up to speed well enough to play full time. So I kind of equate this to a real world situation that we deal with in life. You have staff turnover, and then you have to hire somebody. So, someone leaves for a better opportunity. You got to hire. It takes forever to get them onboarded and up to speed before you see any positive returns. So imagine doing that with 30 to 40 people every year. That's tough.
Yeah. And the other piece of that Kirby talked about with these new players and how these players are coming in, they're very focused on NIL and all that jazz is the entitlement. The idea that players come in and they expect, hey, I've already earned money. I'm ready to go. I'm coming in, I'm expecting to start, I'm getting playing time, and they don't handle criticism well. And he said, as the media has increased its attention around recruiting and prop these kids up more, and then they're getting money on top of it, it's really boosted that sense of entitlement. It used to not be that way. They used to come in and kids were humble. Now they come in and they're criticized or they're not starting immediately and they want to quit. They want to give up. Um, and that's
Yeah.
just a major change.
Yeah, that's a kind of a sad state of affairs for our society if you really think about it. The thing that I appreciated about what Kirby was saying, he's really big about, and Nick Saban too, that the standard is the standard. We're
Yeah.
not going to lower our standards just to accommodate a player because they have talent. That that's how you build a program like Georgia has built.
Right. Kirby said that. He said that their attention now is on retaining players, whereas before their attention used to be on gaining players. That's the difference. And in season, they're the coaches have to spend their time as opposed to being focused on recruiting. They are spending more time recruiting their own team than they are recruiting new players every year, and that's a big change from
Yeah,
what they were used to.
it's almost like running a tech company, trying to hold on to your devs.